Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Pamela's Healing Journey, Trauma to Triumph. If you're new here, my name is Pamela. I'm a social worker that has been helping other people on their healing journeys for the last 15 years. But I have also been on my own healing journey for the last 20. So, today I like to come on here and I like to share the little bit of knowledge that I've obtained over the time and share with you tips and tricks that I use with my clients and that I've used myself. Okay, today we're delving into a powerful and transformative topic, shadow work. What it is, why it's so important for healing, and how you can start practicing it safely. All right, first, let's define what shadow work is. The shadow is a term that was made popular by psychologist Carl Jung. It refers to the part of ourself we tend to hide, repress, or deny. You know, like anger, jealousy, fear and shame, insecurity, anything we believe is unacceptable or unlovable. But here's the thing, your shadow isn't bad. It's just the parts of you that need attention, healing, and understanding. The true goal of healing and being at peace with ourselves is to love every single part of ourselves, to acknowledge every single part of ourselves. You may not want to acknowledge that there's jealousy that lives inside of you. I get it. I don't want people to know that I'm jealous sometimes. But I have to honor that that part of me is a part of me. And in order for me to be whole, I have to accept all parts. Now, it doesn't mean that I should walk around being a jealous, green-eyed monster, right? By acknowledging it and embracing it, I can work towards shifting it. And here's the thing, when we ignore our shadow, it doesn't go away. It shows up in ways we may not realize, like self-sabotage. I was amazing at self-sabotage, projecting onto others, emotional triggers, and repeating painful patterns. Sound familiar? I know this was the case for me. Shadow work will help you understand your emotional triggers, heal core wounds from childhood and trauma, build self-compassion and emotional resiliency, stop cycles of self-sabotage, and step into a more authentic version of yourself. It's about integration, not judgment. It's about loving the parts of yourself you were taught to reject. So, how can you start practicing shadow work? Here are a few simple ways. Number 1, self-reflection journaling. You can ask yourself, when do I feel most reactive or triggered? What trait in others really irritate me? I learned that when I'm pointing the finger at somebody else, I have a bunch of fingers pointing back at me. So when something in somebody else makes me upset, it's because I recognize that trait inside myself. And another question you can ask yourself is, what emotions do I try to avoid feeling? Okay, so when do I feel most reactive or triggered? What traits in others really irritate me? And what emotions do I try to avoid feeling? Number 2, mindful awareness. Start noticing your emotional reactions without judgment. Don't judge yourself. Reactions and emotions and triggers are real. You just need to acknowledge them, but don't put any judgment on them. They're not bad. They're not wrong. You may not like them. You may not want to feel them, but there's not anything wrong with them. Okay? So notice without judgment. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? You could ask, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Number 3, inner child work. Often, our shadow is tied to childhood trauma and wounds. You can connect with your inner child through visualization or gentle self-talk, which can be very healing. I have varying levels of children, younger versions of me inside of me. And I can catch them from time to time, and I can speak to them, and I can remind them that we're an adult, that we're okay, that we're safe, and I can acknowledge that that child is feeling that way based on the experience they remember, but then I can remind them of where we are now. I know. I don't believe that I have multiple personalities or anything like that, but I do know that I have varying versions of Pam inside of me that occasionally get triggered and jump up, and they want to take the lead. It's okay for me to step back and be like, you're safe. It's okay. Here's what's actually going on. Inner child work is amazing. There is tons of visualizations that you can do on YouTube that are out there for free. There's lots of different books that you can find that talks about how to connect and work with the inner child. And then this brings me to number 4, working with a therapist or a coach. I highly recommend that if you have the resources to be able to work with a therapist or a coach, that you do so. Somebody that is trained in trauma work that can help walk through the process with you, okay? Because sometimes shadow work is going to bring up deep wounds that are safe. They're safer to process them when you have support of somebody who is trained, okay? So as I mentioned, there's wonderful meditations and visualizations that you can find for free on YouTube. However, if you're doing them and they are bringing up stuff for you that's feeling overwhelming, that is the time when you should look into resources. Or even better, maybe look for some resources before you start doing the work, okay? The work is important, but support where you can feel safe and connect with somebody who is trained and has the ability and the wherewithal and the knowledge on how to help you safely walk through this, I promise you, your healing journey will go much smoother if you have that support. So if it's available to you, I highly recommend that you use those resources. All right. Shadow work is not about fixing you because, again, you're not broken. Okay? You're healing. Shadow work is about bringing to light and love to the parts of you that have been hurt and hiding. It's about learning to embrace all parts of you. It's powerful, it's deep, and it's worth it. So as we bring this video to a close, I'd like to ask that if you found this video helpful, that you please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more healing content, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. And as always, I'd love to hear from you. So, have you done any shadow work before? And what part of yourself are you learning to love more? Drop a comment below. Let's keep the conversation going. Remember, you are worthy of love, wholeness, and healing. Have a very blessed day.